in mind. I will give you a few minutes to flesh that out, and then we will have the distinct pleasure of entering meditation. And just take maybe another 20, 30 seconds to wrap up what you're writing. Put the journal aside and find a comfortable posture, either sitting or lying down, for the meditation. So just a few logistical notes before we dive into the meditation. Number one, if you choose to lie down, you're more likely to fall asleep. If that's what you think you need or want, or what you might want to happen, then keep that in mind. And if you're hoping to maybe rejuvenate or center a little bit and still remain in an awake state, but kind of simultaneously resting, sitting up would be your best bet. But feel free to choose whatever you feel like you need in this moment. I prefer to sit up personally unless I'm doing a nighttime meditation. I'm obviously holding a microphone, so I'll do it with one hand, but you can do palms facing up on your lap, palms facing down on your lap, or one resting in another. You just want to make sure that you're not clenching your hands together or separate, so that you're kind of encouraging at least a semi-release of tension throughout your body. I close my eyes when I practice. But if you feel like that's not comfortable for you, or you need to keep them open, see if you can just keep your gaze fixed at the wall or on the ground. The more that you kind of flutter your eyes around, the harder it's going to be to focus on the breath and the single point. So closing the eyes removes that stimulus. So again, this practice isn't necessarily easy. It asks of us to do something that isn't in our nature. It asks us to pause, to shift away from the world of doing and back into a world of being. And that idea of being is very ambiguous. What does that even mean? And I'm not sure it can be put into words. But we're going to see if we can experience what it means to be. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes without my voice to ease in, to warm up, just by noticing what it's like to do less and be more, to find a space for stillness and silence, to resist the impulse to add noise into our surroundings. Take a couple minutes to observe what comes up without any other agenda. And you're just going to start to become aware of your breath. This might sound a little cliche, but the breath is something we're doing as long as we're alive, which means it's a portal to the present moment. The breath doesn't have concept of past or future, it has concept of now. And so just by focusing on the breath, we're bringing ourselves closer and closer to whatever the present moment is. Start by noticing the simple fact that you're even breathing right now. Just start to notice each inhale and each exhale, noticing their simple presence and existence. And tapping into the physical body now, noticing what physical sensations you can observe that happen as a result of your inhale and exhale. What do you feel physically when you breathe? we're going to move through a few distinct breathing exercises that help to prepare a new equilibrium for our mind, our body, and our mood. The first exercise asks us to breathe in through the nose, purse our lips as if we were whistling, and let out the exhale as slowly as we can through pursed lips, exhibiting patience with the exhale. Again, in through the nose, out through pursed lips slowly, a bunch here at your own pace. And as we ease out of that exercise, we move to a breath in and out through the nose. Taking an inhale that feels standard and normal. But when you go to exhale, see if you can let out all of the air with your breath, finishing the breath out. Then pausing for one moment, creating a space between the end of the exhale and the start of the next inhale. And breathe in, all the air out through your nose. 1 second pause, and repeat at your own pace. And you can return to a breath that flows naturally for you now as we tap into our sense of sound. We're just going to simply listen to the sound of our breath, not for sake of analysis, just noticing that there's a breath present when we breathe, that there's a sound present when we breathe. just coming back to a standard observation of your breath, as we move into what I consider to be the core of the practice, where we introduce a mantra, which is just a collection of words, numbers, or phrases that we repeat with each breath in and each breath out. And we also practice relating to our thoughts in a more nuanced manner. I'm going to suggest a mantra, just thematically, but please feel free to alter it in whichever way you feel you need. When we breathe in, I'm going to suggest that we say to ourselves, breathing in beginnings. And when we breathe out, I'm going to suggest that we say breathing out ends, signifying the start of a new year as we begin to integrate the idea of beginnings into our being. And whenever we inevitably get distracted, we're going to practice relating to our thoughts differently. Step 1 is going to be to pause that mantra. Step 2 will be to notice that you're thinking by saying the word thinking to yourself. Just acknowledging the thought as what it is, thinking. And then returning back to that breath and mantra. And as often as the mantra gets interrupted, you'll pause, notice that you're thinking, and returning. That will strengthen your mental muscles and your psyche when things don't go the exact way that you'd hoped in your life. You'll be more resilient to be able to contend with that. So again, breathing in beginnings, breathing out ends, or picking your own personal mantra. I invite you to participate in your own silent practice with the mantra, noticing thoughts and returning when they arise. as we ease out of that mantra, we still remain integrated into the practice with a gentle observation of the fact that we're breathing. And we're going to cap off with a visualization practice that will help us acknowledge the beauty that we have in our lives. To the best of your ability, and this is imaginative, you're going to imagine that you're sitting in front of a big blank screen. And on that screen, images and videos are going to play and project of some people or places or ideas or things that you're grateful for in your life. Now, usually when we do gratitude exercises, we, make a list. We go through our usual gratitude kind of suspects. But in this case, we're going to be a little bit more passive. We're going to watch this screen with curiosity. And just notice what arises visually and experientially on that screen when I say the word gratitude. We're going to ease out of that exercise and slowly get acclimated back to our space by getting some movement back in our bodies and opening our eyes. And we are going to cap off this whole session by returning to our journals, making sections again for mind, body, and mood on a different page. Mind being our thoughts, our internal narrative, body being our physical sensations, and mood being our emotional state. Using this opportunity to reflect post-meditation where you're at in those three facets of being. as we ease out of the journaling practice, knowing that, beyond me leading this session, you can continue on in the journaling if you felt like you had more to articulate. And holding on to these 2 pages if you want to juxtapose where you were before and where you were after the practice. And just remembering again that regardless of the immediate short-term result of this practice, we sit down to meditate to facilitate a long-term vision of peace and equanimity. And sometimes each specific meditation brings us ups and downs. And so remembering to keep in mind the long haul there, but simultaneously hoping that you found some peace and quiet within today's practice, knowing that these practices are always available to you even beyond today. And if you do have any specific questions about this practice or wanted to touch base about it, you can feel free to reach out to me at brandon@wisemindgentlesoul.com, and I'd be happy to chat about what the practice brought about for you. A lot of times when these practices are in person, we can talk about it, but we work with what we can today, and I'm humbled and grateful to have spent this virtual time with you, and again hope that this served you in some way as the high holidays move forward, onwards, upwards, and I wish you a Shana Tova and a beautiful new year to you and yours.